Hey everybody, Tom Painter again. Thanks for watching. We are talking about in with a plan and out with results. In with a plan and out with results. So as we talk about this part, I'm going to have you look at the 7 steps that we did, the 7 habits, review it very quickly, and then we're going to go deep into those 7 things because the key to becoming wealthy, the key to becoming financially independent is your checklist. The checklist of the things that you need to do in order to make that successful. So in reviewing that, all of you should have a clean piece of paper, and on that clean piece of paper, we're going to go through these 7 steps, and then we're going to go into more detail on them. But step number 1, the step number 1 and the habit number 1 is you need to learn how to make more money. You've just got to learn how to make more money. That's just crucial. You've got to be able to do that. Number 2 is we're going to separate it. Every day as you look at these 7 habits or these 7 steps, you're going to start tweaking it and you're going to start adding more and more layers of complexity. But the first key is getting it down so that it fits on the back of an envelope. It's got to fit on the back of a napkin. You've got to be able to explain the 7 steps, the 5 steps to freedom and the 7 steps to wealth on the back of an envelope. And then we want to add more complexity to it. Just opposite of what everybody else does. We want to simplify the heck out of it first, because when you simplify it, those are the principles that we're working on. But step number 2 is we need to actively think about where we want our money to go. Okay, and we have to make decisions. That's why on step number 2 is to separate it. We get to decide where that money goes. Now, most people just don't have a clue. You know, they're making decisions every day on stuff, when in reality, we should have to make the big decisions and then have that money go where we want it to go and then make the smaller decisions from there. Step number 3, you got to give some of it away. And I don't care who you give it to. You know, I don't care how much you give it to. I don't even if you don't have the cash, then you need to spend be able to do time and energy. You've got to make a difference. If you want to have a successful life, money and a big chunk of money is not success. Making a difference in other people's lives is success. Number 3 is you got to give. And you'll notice that the people that are the wealthiest are those that are the biggest givers. Okay, because when you give, you get. So number 3 is you need to give your time and your energy. Number 4 is to invest. Now, the more that we can automate this, the better. The more that we can put this on automatic pilot, the better. We don't want to be sitting around watching TV trying to decide, is the stock going up or the stock going down? You know, what we're looking for is we're looking for a better investment plan so that we can spend our time in number 1, which is making more money with our job or our small business. So we're going to go into more detail into 4. Now, number 5 is to save and spend. And there's some systems that we're going to do to help you with your saving and your spending. And we want to get out of debt. There's smart debt and there's stupid debt. And I've had millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of smart debt. Smart debt is when I bought apartment complexes and our renters came in and they gave us money to rent. I paid millions of dollars in interest, but they paid me millions of dollars in rental income. Okay, we did over $6 million just in pure rent income. So we want to help you with step 4 and step number 5. We want to teach you the difference on how to be able to save and how to be able to spend and make it all work. We need to get as much money into step number 4 as possible. Number 5, save and spend. Number 6, to be wealthy, we need to add real estate and we need to add business. Many of you have a business. Most of you, that's your job. You're working in the business. That's step number 1. You're working it as a job. Number 6 is we're working it as a business. We're working on the business, not in the business, which means we're creating systems so that that business will get up and run on without you having to do everything. That's step number 6. And number 7, the wealth formula. We need to put money away. We need to have it grow. We need to do it over time. So let's get into great detail onto the 7 steps to make sure that you really get these. And we're going to spend some quality time because it's the first of the year. This is what we've got to do. So step number 1, as we talked about before, is to make more money. And I want you to be thinking about and writing down how you can make more money. Okay, I want you to be thinking about that right now. Now, there's three big areas. One, you can solve problems. My next door neighbor is a famous neurosurgeon. He's done 2 back surgeries on me. He makes more money than a regular surgeon, who makes more money than the nurse, who makes more money than the receptionist, who makes more money than the janitor. Why? Because he solves bigger problems. Most people run away from problems. We run towards them because it's just a game, and games are fun. Problems are a game and games are fun. Let's figure out how to have some fun with it. So I want you to be thinking just for a second. I want you to be writing this down. What are some of the problems that you see either in your own business or in the job that you have or the group that you're working for? What are some of the problems they're having? And then let's go figure out how to find somebody that can help us fix those problems. So take just a second and write a couple things down. Give me 30 seconds. I want you to write, what are some problems that you are seeing in your job? And then what are some of the things that you can do to solve those problems? Okay, you got about 30 seconds. And then write down 2 or 3 things that you can do. And one of those things might be finding somebody to help you solve that problem. Okay, let's look at the second one. We need to add more value. It's all about value. It's not about money. Life's a game and games are fun. Money's a game and games are fun. We're not equating this to money. We're equating it to winning. We're equating it to adding more value. We're equating it to solving bigger problems. And when you do that, you get bonuses. That's how I want you to think of it. You get bigger bonuses. So how can you add more value wherever you work? How can you add more value in your small businesses? How can you add more value? Because it's all about value. You need to be more valuable than the next guy. You need to offer something that the other people don't. You need to go that extra mile. You know, the difference between first place and second place in the Olympics is that. Just milliseconds. How do you add more value? Number 3, you need to study successful people. Okay, throw in the chat. How are you studying successful people? Where do you go to study successful people? And where do you go to waste time? Social media has some incredible stuff and it has a lot of crap. But how do you study successful people? Books and YouTube, yep. What else? Yep, good. A mentor would be a great one. Who mentors you? Who can you go ask for advice? You know, successful people want to share. Successful people know that the only way they get what they want is to help other people get what they want. Successful people build teams. Successful people build systems. Walt Disney did not build Disneyland. Walt and Roy, the brother, built a team that built Disneyland. Because when they both passed away, the company still flourished. Steve Jobs did not build an iPhone. Steve Jobs and Tim Cook. Most people don't know this, but Tim Cook is a massive guy that made that all work. Built a team that built the iPhone. Steve Jobs didn't even know how to program very well. Steve Wozniak was the programmer. But they built a team. Okay. So we want to study successful people. That is crucial. Those are the three things you've got to do. And we've got to make more money. We've got to do that with our job, and we need to do it with our small business. So whatever you made in 2024, we need to be saying, how do we make more money in 2025? How do we make more money in 25? Well, we concentrate on those three things. That's crucial. Those three things. Now, number two, what are the systems? What are the systems that you're using to separate your money? What are the systems you're using right now? Now, most banks don't want you to have a system. Do you know why financial literacy is not being taught in school? Because they don't want you to know the secrets. The banks don't want you to know the secrets. The insurance company doesn't want you to know the secrets. The mortgage company does not want you to know. They don't want you to know because you're a client. They're trying to sell you crap. They're trying to take advantage of you. That's their business. That's why it isn't taught. We need to teach you about systems. What are the systems you're using right now to separate your money? What are the systems you're using? And are you doing it and looking at it on an active basis? Number three is to give. What's your plan for giving? What's your plan for giving? Well, our foundation was created because my wife and I gave a bunch of real estate and stock to the foundation. That's how it was created. The foundation was created by the money that was donated by the real estate we bought when we started buying real estate 40 years ago. Now, that's the key. You can give money on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, but we also want you to be wealthy. We want you to be generous. We want you to make a huge difference out there. That's the juice of life. Now, number four is to invest. This is a crucial one. And the more that we can automate it, the better. Now, when I talk about automation, there's only four ways that you can invest. There's only really four ways that you can invest. Number one, now I'm going to just use the stock market because we're going to talk about real estate in step number 6. We're going to talk about business in step number 6. But number one is you can pick and choose. You can pick and choose. Number two is you can hire someone. You can do a mutual fund. But your fees are going to be up there. You're going to spend between 1% and 2% in fees of money under management. So for every $100 you have in there, they're going to take $1 to $2 just as a fee. Number three, you can do an index. And the biggest one we like is the S&P 500, which is the 500 biggest companies in America. Now, we teach college kids a lot. We do lots of college groups. And these are smart kids. Some of these universities that we teach, I wouldn't have qualified to get into them when I was that age. But they don't even know what the S&P 500 is. They know about trigonometry, but they don't know the simplicity of it. The S&P 500 is the 500 largest companies in America that are global. Now, you can do all kinds of different indexes, but the one we like most people to start with is that one. And then number four is Berkshire Hathaway. This is Buffett. Warren Buffett built a team that built Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett didn't build Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett built a team that built Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger built a team that did that. Now, of these four ways, we're going to tell you not to pick and choose. Now, if you had $100 or 100%, you can take a small percentage of that if you want, maybe 10% out and pick and choose. You know, there's nothing wrong with picking and choosing. The problem is that when you spend 100% of your money and you pick and choose and you pick wrong, and then you lose and then you're just out. So when you're smarter than these other organizations, then you can change your asset allocation with it, okay? So you can do a little bit of that. You can do a little bit into here. I wouldn't do a lot. maybe 10% here. Okay, and then maybe 40% here, maybe 40% there. Of your 100% you've got right there, you can do a little bit of pick and choosing. But guess what? For most of you, when you pick and choose, you lose. We don't want you spending your time picking and choosing. We want you to spend your time making more money. We want to automatically invest. Now, when we do mutual funds, the problem is the fees. 1 to 2% of the fees. Now, an index fund, it's a much smaller that. It's about half of that. So instead of $2 out of every $100, it's 50 cents. So the fees are much less. And down here, the Berkshire Hathaway ones, there's no fee. Zero. Why? Because you'll pay a little bit of a commission. It's a stock, just like buying McDonald's or Nike or anybody else. So over time, this one has outperformed that one, who's outperformed that one, who outperforms that one. This is number one over a long period of time. This is number two, and then this is number three. So when you earn money from the foundation, why do we want you to start there? Because that's the simplicity of it. Of the 4 ways to automatically invest, that is the simplicity of where to go. Okay? So we want you to start with something simple like Berkshire Hathaway and then the S&P 500. Now, as you get more experienced, you can start taking more of your money and taking a higher percent and putting it into mutual funds if you want to, or even into picking and choosing. But just know over a period of time that these outperform that. Now, when we say automatic, what's automatic about it? Well, when you're doing the S&P 500, you aren't deciding which companies are in that 500. It's just the 500 largest. And somebody else is automatically doing the investing for you. Berkshire Hathaway, they're automatically buying and selling and buying companies and doing business and everything else. They're automatically doing those investments. So there's 2 pieces of the automatic. One is to automatically get money pushed into there, which is crucial, which is part of number 2. Automatically get money pushed into there. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care where you spend it. The only thing I care about is how much you get into your investment account. So that's why that is so crucial to be able to get it there. Now, for some of you, you're going to say, well, what are my options for it? Well, how do I do that? Well, you look at the different kind of accounts you've got. Well, when you go open up a bank account, which is number 4, which is number 5 over here, I'm just going to put number 5 right here, save and spend. Okay. But when you open up an account, so you look at accounts, on number 4 versus number 5. Number 5 is your save and spend. Well, this is a bank account. That's a savings account. That is in step number 5, which is the save and spend. Number 4 is an investment account. What's the difference? Well, when you open up a bank account, you are loaning money to the bank. That's all you're doing. You're loaning money to the bank. And guess what? They're not paying you squat. They're not paying you anything. They're taking your money and they're reloaning it to somebody else. Because you're either going to loan or own. When you open up a bank account, all your money is loaning money to the bank. You're just loaning money to the bank. And the bank is taking your money at 1% or 0%, and they're loaning it back to you at 21%. That's what they do. They're loan sharks. That's what banks do. They are loan sharks. They're taking your money, paying you nothing, and loaning it back to you and making a profit or a yield on it. The difference between the two. Now, when you open up an investment account, you can own stuff. What can you own? You can own stocks. Okay, you can own bonds. You can loan money too. But when you do own, the real key is the stocks. Now, what are stocks? Those are parts of the companies. So you can own stock. Now, there's a couple kinds of investment account. There's a personal account. And the only difference between that and a bank account is that you can invest in stocks and mutual funds and indexes. And then you can do a retirement account. Now, all over the world, they have different names for these things, but most of them have the same kind of strategies. you have different kinds of accounts. You have different kinds of retirement accounts. So let's come down in here to retirement accounts. And I'm going to use America because we have a lot of people that are here. There are different ones that you can do. You can do what they call a Roth IRA, an individual retirement account. And the difference between this one is the Roth IRA was named after a congressman. And a Roth IRA, there's no tax benefits the day you put it in. You don't get any tax benefits, but there's no taxes when you take it out. It's tax free. When you take the money out, it's all tax free. Okay, it's all tax free. Now, the other kind is just a regular IRA. And an IRA, you get a tax break today, but you have to pay taxes on it when you take it out. And the only thing I really worry about is when you're taking it out. I don't really care about the taxes I'm paying today. I want to know what it's over here. So you have to pay taxes here. And then, of course, there's like a 401k. The bonus to the 401k is that you get an employer match. So if you're doing this and you're trying to get this up and rolling, you want to put some money into your personal account, your personal investment account, and then you want to start funding your retirement accounts. I would recommend that you start with this one. That's number one, is the Roth. Why? Because I don't want to pay taxes on it. I don't want to pay taxes. That's one of you guys are getting, everybody's getting hammered by taxes and you're not even seeing it. There's a tax when you turn around. There's tax on food. There's tax on gas. There's tax everywhere you go. We want to do this in a tax-free environment. So we want to fund that first. If you've got an employer, you know, this is number one too. If you're going to do a match, if an employer is matching it, that's pretty impressive. Even though we got to pay taxes on it, we want to do that employer match. Later, you can take this and you can move it up into your IRA if you want, pay the taxes on it, and then have it run from there. But that's really the key to your investment accounts. You need to have an investment account, a personal investment account where you can buy stock. You need to have some retirement accounts. If you want to be successful, it's a lifestyle. This is not an overnight thing. This is a lifestyle that we're trying to create. We need to get the simplicity down because we're going to add gas to this thing over a period of time. Now, step number 5 right here is to save and spend. And the way we do that is we use the system in the courses. When you go to courses, you go to downloads, we're going to manage our money on one piece of paper. And we're going to do that in the next class. We're going to manage that money on one piece of paper. And it takes the 7 steps and the 7 things that we're going to do, and it gets you a game plan that you can do on a monthly basis. It's going to bring your money in. We're going to separate it. We're going to give you some spending targets. We're going to give you some thermometers. We're going to look at your debts. We're going to look at your net worth. Okay? It's all on one piece of paper that's 2-sided. And all of you, I want you to be able to use that because we're going to pull that up in our next class and we're going to go into detail on that. Okay? That's the save and spend. Now, the real crucial next one here is number 6, is to add real estate and a business. And I'm going to say a big business. Number 1, most people have a small business where you're working for yourself. Okay? Well, that's a job. That's a job. A big business is when other people are working with you. Now, you don't have to be their employer. You don't have to have this where you're employing them. You just need to have it where they're working, where it benefits you. Okay? So when you talk about real estate, all of you need some real estate. And when you go through our classes, you can get into the real estate section because all of you need 2 things. You need to have a house to live in. But if I was giving you stuff, I wouldn't even start with a house. I would start with a rental. And there's all kinds of wonderful classes you can go through about real estate. Real estate is what funded this foundation. Of the $3 million we put into it, 2 of it was with real estate and $1 million of it was with stock. Okay. But real estate did that with long-term rental units. Smart debt versus stupid debt. Stupid debt is when you go to college, you run up a whole bunch of debt to get a crappy job that doesn't make you any money. Smart debt is when you borrow money and somebody else pays you money to pay that off. We had, in my lifetime, we've done well over $6 million worth of rental income. I probably paid that in tax. I probably paid that in interest, but somebody else paid me that. We want you to have some rental units. We want you to do the 5 F's when you're doing real estate. You need to find good deals. Finding a good deal is the hardest thing you can do, is to find a good deal. Okay? We want to find a good deal. We need to have you fund it. We need to have you figure out how you're going to fund it and get the money to either control it or to buy it. You need to fix whatever's wrong with it. It could be the seller or it could be the property. Then we're going to either flip it or we're going to farm it. Those are the 5 F's that we got to work on. We want to have a free and clear home. There's nothing wrong with having a free and clear house. There's nothing wrong with that. You should. In fact, most people, the biggest asset that they own is the home they lived in because they had to make payments on it, and they were the guys that made the payments. But imagine that if you had multiple of those houses and other people were paying you rent. Okay? So as you're finding your real estate, you're going to do one of those two things. You're going to do the 5 F's, and you're either going to flip them or you're going to farm them. Now, business. Let's talk about business for a second here. There's only 3 things that you can really do in your business. And we have all kinds of wonderful classes in this, but 3 things in your business. Number 1, you can get more customers. You need to get more customers. And that's where most people spend all their time, just getting more customers. But number 2 is you can get them to buy more. We want them to buy more. We want you to buy more. Instead of spending $10, we want you to spend $20. And number 3 is we want you to buy more often. Those are the only 3 things you can do. Now, there are 25 rules of thumb that the Academy, we call it ACE, the Academy for Creating Enterprises, teaches. Now, I've done hundreds of millions and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in businesses that I've done myself. Okay? This is a great starter group right here, the Academy for Creative Enterprises, the 25 rules of thumb, because they simplified it. They simplified it, multiplied it, simplified and multiplied it. And the same is true right here. There are only 3 things that you can do in your business right there. Boom, boom, boom. These go into more detail and then go through these courses and go through these classes. Michael Gerber, you need to go through the classes online from Michael Gerber, The Entrepreneurial Myth. He trained me when I was in my 20s. I took our business from $7 million a year to $35 million a year by simplifying and multiplying our businesses. We figured out what was profitable, and then we've simplified and multiplied it. The McDonald's brothers had a restaurant, and after some analysis, they found out that 87% of their revenue came in from hamburgers, cheeseburgers, fries, and shakes and drinks. And they got rid of everything else and just concentrated on what was working. You've heard of the 80-20 rule? 20% of what you do gets you 80% of your results. What we want you to do is figure out what's that 20% that you do and do that all day long. We want you to spend all your time doing the things that get you the most results. In fact, I'll bet you that there's probably 10% of the things that you do that get you 90% of your results. And how do you spend all your dang time doing those things? You want to be successful. We want to do this. A surgeon needs to be doing surgery. Surgeon wants you to be doing surgery. Doesn't want to be doing paperwork. Okay, that's not in his 10%. That's step number 6. Now, number 7 is the wealth formula. This is really crucial. And the reason we go over this and over this and over this is because I want you to be thinking about everything you're doing, and I don't want you to complicate it. I want you to simplify it. You need to take money every month from your business. You need to take money from your real estate. You need to take money from your job. And you need to have it in some separate accounts, some investment accounts. Your money's got to work for you. And number 2 is you need to have it go up in value. Your money can't be sitting in the bank getting you nothing. You need to be making 6, 8, 10%. Rule of 72. How long does it take for stuff to double? We call that a MOIC. Multiple on invested capital. What is the invested capital we're doing, and what's our return on the invested capital? How do we turn $1? How do you turn something from $1 to $2? How do you double it? Well, it's the rule of 72. Okay, and the rule of 72 basically says this is what's key, is that you need to take the number 72 and divide the interest into it, or the appreciation into it. So if you're making 6%, 6 times 12 equals 72. It takes 12 years. If you are making 3%, 3 times 24 equals 72. It takes 24 years. If you're making 12% on an investment, it takes 6 years. The goal is how much money can you get into this account, and how long does it take to double it? Now, don't be doing stupid stuff where you're going to lose it. But the goal is to get your money working for you. So you've got to get your money working with you at a higher rate than what inflation is. Times time. This is going to take a while to do. And that's going to equal wealth. Generational wealth. That's the key, and that's what we're trying to create. That's the 7 steps right there. That's the 7 habits. Now, in the next class, we're going to teach you and take you online and show you where you're going to put those 7 steps. And then we're going to break it down into about 115 little steps that you can do that are just things that you can say, these are the things I've got to do that's on my master checklist. Number 1, it's got to fit on the back of an envelope. It's got to fit on the back of a napkin. Number 2 is that we want to add some layers to it. We want to add some more layers to it and more layers to it. Simplify and multiply, simplify and multiply. All right, guys, thanks for being with us. We're going to be right back. We're going to take you to the website where we're going to show you where those are and that master checklist is, and how you can start managing money on one piece of paper. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be right back.